All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the Unwarranted Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it, brother.
I'm ready.
All right, you got your boy Dapper Dan. Some would say, you know,
That's the
Buffy,
new nickname.
Buffy McGinnis.
Man,
Yeah, you got
I'm
no shade, Buffy McGinnis.
a little bit more professional. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more professional, clearer frames. Also, too, it's the 10th episode, so I decided to bring mine's out. If you've been paying attention, D did it for the past, a few times. I was just waiting for something a little bit bigger.
It was the Lions games. It was the Lions games that I really brought it out on. But man, we have a wonderful book we're going to be getting into today.
Most definitely.
Great discussion we're going to be getting into today. Starting off with The Obstacle is the Way.
Yes,
The
sir.
Obstacle is the Way is by Ryan Holiday, a guidebook to Stoicism that teaches us how to turn an obstacle into opportunity, using resilience and resourcefulness, leading to a personal and professional success. Just want to point out some things about this book. Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots distribute copies of The Obstacle is the Way to their staff and players in 2015 season.
Wow.
The Seattle Seahawks GM John Schneider and Pete Carroll passed the book around the team's locker room. The discipline of perception, action, and will are things that we can all use in today's life.
Wow.
Now, getting into the book, we're going to kick things off with the first part, which is the discipline of perception. And let me just say right now, Manny, the discipline of perception. So it says, and I kind of just summarized, but perhaps the most important chapter in the first section of this book tells us the story of how during World War II, the Allies, and specifically General Dwight D. Eisenhower, learned to shift their perspective and see how the revolutionary German war strategy of Blitzkrieg, which seemed undefeatable, carried within itself its own destruction. As Eisenhower would say to his timid generals at a conference in Verdun, demonstrating the importance of optimism, perspective, and defiance in the face of an immovable obstacle. The present situation is to be regarded as an opportunity for us and not disaster. There will only be cheerful faces at this conference table. Hey, I just wanted to say that brought chills to me, just reading it out loud again.
Yep.
I'm sure sometimes when you read certain things, you can visualize it. You can visualize it in your mind. Like, what did that just, what does that look like? You're talking about men at war. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about men at war, and they were sitting there like, how do we beat what's been known to be basically a unstoppable force, right? And these men at war, a real man comes in and tells these other men, hey, cut the frowns. Cut the frowns. This is an opportunity, I'm sure he went a lot harder, but this is an opportunity not only for us to put our names in the history books, but for us to provide a way for the generations to come that no matter what the obstacle is merely an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I felt that, man. I think it really speaks to Ryan Holiday is as a person to even include that passage into his books, because we've done a Ryan Holiday book before, and Ego is the Enemy. Just like I know his viewpoints on life is very stoic. And ultimately, man, it was a great passage. To me, it really speaks to controlling your emotions. To me, it really speaks to controlling your emotions, which is something we talk about often. You know what I'm saying? So there's no duh why this book came across both of us, and why many of his books come across both of us. But really, what kind of speaks to me when you bring up a passage like that is that it's not that things are bad, but things are bad, but I can make this good.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think that kind of sums up that point. And that's really what I wanted to touch on today. A lot of it, because obviously, we have two more parts to get into, but perception to me was one of the biggest was one of the biggest problems I had when it came to overcoming obstacles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about how you look at the problems, but before I get deeper into that, I do just want to say, because I know you speak on like a man of war, like men being at war, and a real man coming in there, where when it comes to perception, while others are excited and afraid, you remain calm and imperturbable. See things straightforwardly as they are, neither good nor bad. And I think that kind of touches, because how often in life, does something really small happen, and you make it such a big deal. You look at it as it's the end of the world, when in reality, that's just one moment in a long life. You know what I'm saying? Even if that moment, if you were in survival mode for a year, or if you were struggling with something for a year out of 40 years, that's a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? And you can kind of see that amongst some of us who are less emotional about things. When things do arise, you put your emotions to the side and handle it.
Yeah, man. And another thing, right in that like beginning section, that chapter that I was speaking of, and within the section, that was conveniently called "Finding the Opportunity."
Yeah.
And it opened with a quote from Seneca, which another book that quoting Seneca.
Yeah.
A good person, it says, a good person paints events with his own color and turns whatever happens to his own benefit. That right there, man. Like, I can just tell you personally, like, I felt like when I was rereading this book and going back over this book, I'm like, it was so on time for me, because it wasn't necessarily like the first time reading it, but it was like the 100th time, where it's like, it's more so a reminder of why you are making some of the unconscious decisions that you're making, right? So on a day-to-day basis now, like I'm facing my obstacles, and I have a way more cool demeanor towards them. I have a way more, like, some would even say, cold shoulder out here. And it's not necessarily a cold shoulder, it's just, look, man, if this ain't altering my son's life, you know what I'm saying? If you're not bothering the mother of my child, you're not bothering my mother, my father, it's like, at the end of the day, I have no reason to be pressed about this situation, or pressed about what's, in front of me. At the end of the day, I am like 100% on waking up and getting after it. I'm 100% on, these problems have not hindered me. These problems have not put me down. These problems have not stopped me from going anywhere. At the end of the day, they just are an obstacle.
Facts.
They're just an obstacle, and day-to-day life, man, like, you're going to have these obstacles. So, what can you really say other than to just, sometimes, man, nothing. Just strap them up and get back at it. Strap them up and go back at it. It's like, it really just felt good to kind of get back into that book, man. It really did.
It spoke to me too.
Kind of like what Superior Man says, read books that remind you who you are. And this book definitely gave me that feeling when going back over it.
I must say, man, when you speak to way of the Superior Man, I can't wait for us to retouch that one, because that one was an official part 1. We didn't even nearly touch half of what that book had to offer. But that's probably one of my favorite lines from that book too, as well. Read books that remind you of who you are, because it's a life philosophy. Do things that remind you of who you are. You know what I'm saying? Be around people who remind you of who you are. But ultimately, man, what you really spoke to was controlling your emotions. And it's kind of funny in life. People look at you like you're a cold shoulder individual, when all you really are doing is just ruling over yourself. You're just controlling your emotions, and something that really stuck out to me, and he mentioned this in the book. But if you're striving for something good or great, rule over yourself. So what I did was I attached that, because a lot of people are hard headed. Let's just be honest. So maybe you don't want to take it from me or from D when we say control your emotions, but maybe you'll believe NASA. When they sent astronauts to space, they trained them in one skill above all others: the art of not panicking. and they really put things in perspective when you're hundreds of thousands of miles away from the earth. That is the only thing that matters above all else, is controlling yourself. Do not panic if something happens. They said that they trained them to make sure their heart rate stayed the same, like they monitored their heart rate while they were in practice simulations and all of that, just to make sure their heart rate stayed the same. And I just thought that was powerful, man, because I know this won't be the last time we touch controlling your emotions. I mean, that's something we've said probably at least 4 out of the last 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's been a time, but isn't that the one of the most important things of just being a man? Just making sure you control your emotions. That, like, if something happens that you didn't plan for, you don't panic.
If not the most important.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. So yeah, I just feel that point. Like, just control your emotions. Yeah.
And at the end of this section, you really acquire proper perception, objective, rational, and ambitions. You are able to isolate the obstacle in your way and expose it for what it is. But what comes next is to act. And that's going to lead us right into the discipline of action, which I'll actually let Money kick off this part.
When it comes to action, what's right is what works. Don't worry about the right way, worry about the right way. That's something he mentioned, and I think oftentimes it kind of goes back to something I actually heard Cam Newton say, but something I've felt for a long time is I would rather apologize after trying to do something, you know what I'm saying, than ask for permission before doing it. Because half the time, if you're asking someone for permission to do something bold or audacious that may benefit your life or benefit whatever mission you're trying to get after, you're going to get told no. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get told no. And honestly, like I said, I put a lot of emphasis on perception in this book, because that's something that really stuck out to me. So I do have points in action, and also for the one that comes after this. But yeah, to me, when it comes to action, man, it's really simple. Do the thing. You know what I'm saying? Don't think about starting the podcast. Start the podcast. Don't think about improving yourself. Improve yourself. Don't think about going to the gym. Go to the gym. Don't think about eating healthy. Eat healthy. So yeah, I think action to me is really, really simple. Just act. Do the thing.
I think action is probably my favorite part right now, just because that's kind of the phase of life I'm in right now. As you start to put this together, it's just something you do on a daily, but I look at it like a good trade. You know what I'm saying? Some trades are like, you got what you do on a day to day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then you have to do what you're doing on the grand scheme of things.
Right,
you know right. So you have these different phases of life that you're in. Even though that I'm doing all 3 day by day, but grand scheme of things, I'm kind of in one phase, and then I'm in another phase, and I'm in the next phase.
Right.
And like right now, I think in life I have a lot of just do it and like figure it out after almost mentality. Just because like kind of starting this podcast, getting to episode 10, which at the end of the day, I think the statistic is only 10% of podcasts get to episode 10, and only 10% of that 10% get to episode 20.
Man,
and at the gate, before we started this, I told man, like, look, man, I want to do 100 episodes. I don't care like what the results are. Let's just focus on knocking out a real 100 and get better in this craft as we go first, and then let's nitpick what we're doing.
Right.
And it's just just kind of that phase I'm in. But to the book, the second part of the book deals with how to take action first. Remember, action is commonplace. Right action is not. As a discipline, it is not any kind of action that will do, but directed action. Everything must be done in the service of the whole, step by step, action by action. We can dismantle the obstacle in front of us with persistence and flexibility. We can act in the best interest of our goals.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave that part right there. Kind of goes into what I was already saying, about that phase of life that I'm in. It's just really about act. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you could write all the goals in the world. You could do a lot of things, but to actually take action, to actually put your money, put your time up, and most importantly, it being within purpose also. That just all lines up to act now.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing, man, when you really take a step back, you know. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? What are my movements? What are the meaning to them? You know, and like
Yeah.
books like this really bring meaning to those actions that you are taking, you know. It
Yeah.
really gives you comfort to not worry about what's going on around you, not worry about how loud things are and how loud things can be going on around you, but to just focus and lock in on the act, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I really do feel you. Honestly, I think sometimes a problem needs less of you, and I think when it comes to especially when it comes to action, sometimes you can be a little bit too eager, and you want things so badly that you can be your own worst enemy, right? It's kind of like when it's like when you're really trying to get a bolt off a tire, right? When you got to change a tire. You know, and you want it, and you're really, it's cold outside. You're really trying to get it off, and then you strip the bolt, and now you're stuck. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know where that analogy is really coming from, but how many times do you do that in life with other problems? You know what I'm saying? You want something so bad, sometimes you need to step back, be patient, you know? Um, and I'm not saying because patience is also an act, you know, and I don't want to make it seem like, all right, I'm saying like, you know, be too cautious or be too of this or be too of that, but no, just be patient, have the proper perspective on the problem at hand and go from there. Um,
Man, so I got a little part from this section I want to quote or summarize from. This section opened up with the story of, all right, I'm getting ready to say this. You know, I said this like 100 times before I did it. You know, Google searched his name, had Google tell me his name.
yeah,
You know, you read these books and it's like, you know, you just say whatever you say, but it's like, I gotta say this on, you know.
go
All
ahead.
right, and I already forgot. I can't lie, I already forgot. You know, I said it 100 times before I walked in, but it was Demosthenes. All right. The story opens up with Demosthenes, one of the greatest orators of history. But as a kid, he was sickly and frail with a nearly debilitating speech impediment. He was the awkward kid everyone laughed at, but he did something about it. To conquer his speech impediment, he would fill his mouth with pebbles and practice speaking. He rehearsed full speeches into the wind while running up steep inclines. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you think that's crazy, but you got to be a little crazy to get what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
He even locked himself underground in a dugout he built to study and educate himself.
Yeah.
All this basically put himself in jail. All this training would pay off and make him one of the greatest orators of Athens. As some academics once asked him, what are the 3 most important traits of speech making? Where his reply says it all: action, action, action.
Yeah. Yeah. Prepare for none of it to work.
Man.
Prepare for none of it to work.
I was about to include that.
Yeah. To your point, though, I do want to say, you know, that was a very inspiring tale. That was a very inspiring tale. Demosthenes, is how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
How you say it? Demosthenes.
It's Demos, like Maas. Demosthenes.
And if I'm not mistaken, he didn't even know the alphabet at that time, too, right?
Oh man,
he had to completely learn the alphabet and learn every step to get to where he was trying to get to. Very inspiring tale. And Ryan Holiday, man, you notice this book is riddled with stories just like that.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah. You know, and I think that's huge. But prepare for none of it to work. You know, some obstacles may be impossible to overcome. Some actions are rendered impossible. Some paths impassable. Some things are bigger than us. Even this obstacle, however, can be turned upside down by using it as an opportunity to practice or learn the virtue of acceptance or humility. Now, do you see how he set that up? You know what I'm saying? In a sense of like, prepare for none of it to work. Some things you just can't do. Some obstacles are just you're unable to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
But even that obstacle can be turned upside down, and it's an opportunity for you to learn virtues like acceptance and humility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ultimately, man, I really think that's just what this book is all about. truthfully is really shaping your perspective to understand that everything works out for you, if you look at it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I heard no lies in there because this book has none to give you. But of course, some obstacles are impossible to overcome, and some paths are impassable. This is where the discipline of will comes in.
Yeah.
Will is our internal power, okay, which can never be affected by the outside world, no matter how loud that world is. It is our final trump card. And I love that right there.
Mhm.
It's your final trump card. I'm sure you've all been faced, and I'll just relate it to this. I'll relate it to this, okay? I played basketball before, right? A game of 21 with the boys. There's moments where buddies at 19, you got tipped back down to 0, but your will's telling you, we're about to win this game. We're going to win this game. I don't care if he has 19, if he has 17, he has 15 already. I'm back at 0. My will is telling me, like, yeah, it's about to hurt because you're about to have to play for real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're about to have to get the tips, all hustle plays, all like when I get the ball, it's like, hey, how many can I score before I let them get the ball again?
Yeah.
You know, if you know, Midwest rules, you know what I'm saying? That's how it goes.
Right.
How many can I score before he gets the ball again? How can I close this gap? Can I tip him back down to 0?
Yeah.
Your will, and that's when you realize you just create a monster of a game because you notice the level of everybody else around you starts to level up.
Yeah.
Because you're starting to bring a whole nother level of energy. Like, nah, I'm really not trying to lose.
Facts.
And that's the best way I can relate that will, because it's been moments in life, and just reflect to a moment in your life where you had to bring that will out of you.
Yeah.
And that's because there was nothing else left. You were already tired. You were already down. But something in you said this ain't over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, you got to bring that will out of you. We must learn the art of acquiescence and practice cheerfulness even in dark times. Too often people think that will is how bad we want something. In actuality, the will has a lot more to do with surrender than with strength. Try God willing over the will to win, or willing it to existence, or even those attributes can be broken. True will is quiet, humility, resilience, and flexibility. The other kind of will is weakness disguised by bluster, ambition, which lasts longer under the hardest of obstacles.
Yeah.
I love that he said God willing, because even Ron Holiday knows it's a power bigger than all of us out here.
Yeah. No, man, I think that was huge, and that was one of the biggest things I took away from Will. Was that quiet humility? Because oftentimes you kind of get it mistaken as like, I ripped my shirt off, things are bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm about to win no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Sort of attitude. But every example that you just listed, what you notice is that it was when you were backed into a corner and you had nothing left. And oftentimes in those moments you lock in. Oftentimes in those moments you lock in, you become quiet, you become resilient, like you said in the 21 analogy, not letting that person score, getting in their face. You know what I'm saying? You're not yelling to everybody, I'm about to stop you at 19. You're just proving it. You know what I'm saying? You're just proving it. You're doing the action. And that was one of the biggest things I took away from that, on top of the flexibility factor. You know what I'm saying? You become adaptable to the circumstances, in terms of wherever you're at. Like you said in the 21 analogy, you may be at 5 points, 7 points, 11 points, 13, 15. It doesn't matter. You just become flexible to what needs to be done, and then you do it. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, what that touches to me is persistence is an action. Perseverance is a matter of will. One is energy, the other endurance. They work in conjunction. You know what I'm saying? So you persistently putting in the action, and you're persevering. That's your will. And honestly, the funny part about it, and you've noticed, just like I've noticed from even reaching the 10 episodes mark, because that's current in our lives, the obstacles that aligned itself from episode 1 to episode 10, because in reality we did about 14 episodes.
Exactly.
But somebody trying to interrupt us, which people don't even have that snippet of the video of that. But that was the book we did previous to this episode 9. We had to redo 8 episodes later because that was supposed to be number 1. You know what I'm saying? But that episode was interrupted. Somebody mad, upset because of whatever reason, took it out on us by trying to disturb us. We didn't let that stop us. You know what I'm saying? And nor did we settle in and just say, it is what it is. Maybe this studio isn't for us, or maybe this moment isn't for us, or maybe this one. In reality, how many people do that? You meet with the first sign of resistance and you give up.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? So ultimately, man, I think there are far more failures in life due to a collapse of will. To reach the 10 episode mark, it took a lot of will. This wasn't in our schedule. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't convenient for us to do in no way, shape, or form. Today's episode wasn't even necessarily convenient. You know what I'm saying? To schedules and timing and to everything that's going around. And we were going to use a different backdrop for this one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that ultimately, there are two viewpoints on winning and losing. And I want to touch this. Someone has more than you in terms of winning. Someone has accomplished more than you. There's always someone who has done more than you. When it comes to losing, there's always someone who has lost way more than you, as the example that you just mentioned previous to this with Demosthenes, you know what I'm saying?
Demosthenes,
in a sense of like, I've never had to go through that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never personally had to, right? You know what I'm saying? To try and get better at something, but we're in the same field of speaking though.
Buddy built a dugout. Bro, he like I said, put himself in jail. Like
determination.
Like I don't want no one in today's day and age. That's just turn off your doggone phone. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Turn off your phone for 24 hours. Like I'm only locking in.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can't express what that will do to you mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yeah.
To separate yourself from the world and only be in your world.
Right.
But this section had also told a story of Theodore Roosevelt. Who also was sickly and fragile as a boy, but as he would say with determination to his dad, I'll make my body, developing what the Stoics will call an inner citadel, that fortress inside of us that no external adversity can ever break down. At the gym that his father built him, he worked out every single day, preparing him for the uniquely challenging life that he would end up leading. Like just another reminder, man. Like he was a child with that mindset. You see, a lot of these people that he's pointing out go back to a time that predates the use of a lot of these things that distract us now. But I'm sure they had the distractions then that they could have let get to them. And you see, he also had his father. There's a lot of key things that you need in your life right there. But the most important thing was his will in the situation. He worked out every day, because he worked out of his sickness. He worked out of his fragile body and became what we know him as today in the history books. But I'll say this too. In mastering these 3 principles, we have the tools to flip any obstacle upside down. Like Rockefeller, we can be cool under pressure, immune to insults and abuse. We learn how to see opportunity in the darkest places. We are able to direct our actions with energy and persistence. Like Demosthenes.
Guy with the hard name.
Man, Demosthenes. You just gotta get used to saying it. Like Demosthenes, we can assume responsibility for ourselves, teaching ourselves, compensating for disadvantages, and pursuing our rightful calling and place in the world. And like Lincoln, we can realize that life is a trial and it will be easy, but we are prepared and can give it everything.
Yeah, ultimately, man, what that really touches to me is really just is the perception of everything and how you perceive everything. All these people that you mentioned, great in their fields of calling, they did what was necessary to perceive obstacles the right way. And I think what it really touches on is to practice objectivity.
Mhm.
You know, how often in life do we come across a situation and we say this happened and this is bad? You know, when in reality that's actually two impressions of the obstacle. The first is this happened. That's objective. This is what happened. The second is subjective. This is bad. You made it bad. You know, so ultimately I really think, you know, for me, like I said, you know, it really touches to perception, all in how you perceive things. That's what's going to kick it off. If you perceive things properly, you know, you'll be able to turn anything upside down and use it to your advantage and gain leverage in the situation. But if not, and you don't, I think that it doesn't matter if you have action or if you have the will to keep on moving forward. You won't be going in the right way. You know, how often in life do you go 100 miles per hour in the wrong direction? You know, so I really think, you know, shape your perspective, really start to see things the way you're supposed to see them, to overcome whatever it is that you're dealing with. And it works in all obstacles, whether that be family, environmental, circumstances, situations, some things you can't control, as we touched earlier. But ultimately, the one thing that you can control is your perception on what's going on. So control that, and I wish you a great life.
Wonderful. I'll put this as my ending segment. Just to the book. Overcoming obstacles is a discipline of the 3 critical steps. And this is how the book is structured. Mind you, the link to this book is going to be in our bio. It begins with how we look at our specific problems, our attitude or approach, then the energy and creativity with which we actively break them down and turn them into opportunities. Finally, the cultivation and maintenance of an inner will that allows us to handle defeat and difficulty. Defeat and difficulty. Inner will that is 3 interdependent, interconnected, and fluid cognitive disciplines: perception, action, and will. You apply those 3 things, you're going to be a motherfucking monster. Okay?
Yeah.
In your own world, in your own life. And we are here, don't worry. And we are here in today's time, just letting you know, reminding you that you were born with this. Open your mind and take these things into consideration and honestly apply them. I don't see anything in here in this book that will hinder you or that will prevent you from being what you want to be in life, you know. And it kind of leads to what I wanted to do as a little ending question, which is, you know, understanding kind of why do people end up giving up on their goals. And I have a little statistic that kind of shocked, I won't say shocked me, but it's shocking when you always read numbers like this. A study shows that a whopping 92% of people give up on their goals, right? It says that for New Year's resolutions, for example, it suggests that only 9% of Americans that make resolutions complete them. In fact, research goes on to show that 23% of people will quit their resolution by the end of the first week, the first 7 days, and 43% will quit by the end of January. So in reality, even if you're in a race, the majority of people are out of the race just by you being there the first month, right? If 100 of us was like, we're all going to get fit and get healthy, 43's out the way 30 days in, right?
Yeah.
And it's just insane, man. Like that's a real thing, you know. Like, what would this world be if that 9% was flipped to the 92%, and the 92% was really just the 9%? If only 9% of people gave up on their goals, you know how many great minds. Everybody thinks like, oh, we wouldn't have jobs, or we wouldn't have this, or we wouldn't have that. No, in reality, we would just have more. We would have a world that's just dominating things, right? A world of, you know, or at least a country, you know. You gotta go whole world, just a country of pure dominators, you know. And at the end of the day, I guess that's just what it wasn't meant to be in this phase of life, you know. Right now, this phase of life, let's focus in on that 8 to 9% of people, because those are the individuals I want to not just hop on here and watch this. Because if you're just going to be a quitter, you're probably not watching this,
Facts.
or if you're just going to be a quitter and you watch this and you continue to quit, I feel sorry for you. At some point, you got to wake up and smell the roses, baby. We trying to live life. We trying to eat good, I want my son to have some things in life that I didn't have, and I had a pretty good life. I want my mother to have some things in life that I gave. Not what she did or what my dad did for her, but what I'm a giver. Just as her son growing and molding himself into the man that she probably always knew I could be from birth. Yeah, and that's just real.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a great point that you made. I don't disagree with anything that you said. And firstly, it's alarming how many people give up on their goals, especially when you mention the fact that 92% of people give up on their goals. If I'm not mistaken, you said 92% of people give up on their goals. I have a few reasons why people, give up on their goals. First, let's start with choices. The day you graduate from childhood to adulthood is the day you take full responsibility for your life. That was actually in a compound effect. I just went back to that because I think a lot of times people give up on their life, give up on their goals because they're not accountable to themselves. The one person that it truly matters that you do not lie to. Secondly, with that, and I touched this before, but people just aren't ready to change. People just aren't ready to change, especially when you touch on New Year's resolutions and different things like that. There are phases to change. 1, pre-contemplation. 2, contemplation. 3, preparation. 4, action. 5, maintenance. I think people get too caught up in the fact that they are trying to jump ahead. You're trying to jump ahead. You're not setting clear enough goals. And it's in Atomic Habits. If you didn't think I was a reader before, in this little segment, I've referred to 3 or 4 books already that were just written down from notes. But many people think that they lack motivation. What they really lack is clarity. You're giving up on your goals because you're not clear enough about your goals. For example, what's the most common New Year's resolution? Fitness. You want to get in better shape. Well, don't set a goal like I want to get in better shape. Set a goal like in 6 months I will lose 10 pounds or I will be at this weight by this date. Don't just say I will. And I've touched this so many times before, but especially being in the fitness industry, having my own energy drinks and different various products that also are good if you're a diabetic person as well. Just want to touch that. But because I'm in this industry, I understand that, oftentimes fitness is people just wish they had better health. They don't actually set goals to have better health. Most people just wish they had better health. Like saying, I want to be in better shape. That is a wish. That is not a goal. That is a wish. You are hoping that one day in this year, you are going to be in better shape than what you are. That is what you are saying. It is not until you start going to the gym, lifting the weights, walking the steps, running the miles, that you start to realize how important clear goals are. If you're trying to get better, if you're trying to lose weight, it is important that you set calorie goals. It is important that you eat, that you have protein goals. It is important that you have different goals related to the thing that you want. So not setting clear enough goals is the reason why most people give up on their goals. Because how easy is it to say, I'm just not going to go to the gym when you didn't inform to yourself that you were going to lose 10 pounds. You just said, I hope I'm in better shape. Man, now I'm not even close to being finished with that, but that's just that section on that. And honestly, I think, one of the last points as to why people give up on their goals is you don't understand what's up to you and what's not up to you. What's up to you is your emotions, judgments, creativity, attitude, perspective, desires, decisions, determination. That's all up to you. What's not up to you is the weather, the economy, your circumstances, other people's emotions and judgments, trends, disasters, etc. There's a lot more that's not up to you, but so often you focus on what's not up to you than what is up to you. If there is no reason to give up on a health goal, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. There is no reason to give up on a health goal. With the fact that you can do in-home workouts and get what you want to get from your local grocery store, will connect to whatever your goal is, whether it's to lose 10 pounds or whatever. There's no reason to give up on health goals. You can do in-home workouts. Push-ups and sit-ups do not require anything but a floor. And if you're in America, I guarantee you have access to a floor. You know. And then also, let me go ahead and touch this, because we speak a lot about addictions, or we touch addictions and these different things. But let's be honest, the most harmful addiction in the world is thinking that you can change things that are simply not yours to change. For example, you didn't get the job. That is not yours to change. What is yours to change, though, is readmitting a better resume, gaining more experience. That is up to you. But you not getting the job is not up to you. And honestly, man, I think we just have an epidemic, you know, in this country of people who give up.
Man.
You know, people who give up. And right there, I think I just touched enough that if you are on some sort of track this year to reach whatever goal you're trying to reach, whether it be fitness or just a better mind or a clear head, you know, I think I just gave you a great blueprint as to what you can do to help yourself attain the goal that you want to reach.
Man, one, I just want to say, will the link be in the description for the access?
Yes, so it'll be the my website, of course, for the book, of course, now that we're partnered with Amazon. The book, of course, our Instagrams or socials, not our socials, but our Instagrams, and our other platforms as well. We'll have links to all of that in the description.
And can we add links to the other books, to the other ones?
I have to go through and change but yeah, we can
edit. Yeah, we can edit the description. Yeah. So even if you see this and you look at some of our old episodes, there should be links to the books that we went over in those ones also. But I just want to say too, man, like I feel like Manny just did a wonderful job of detailing that out for y'all and giving you some key examples and reasons why it's really a pointless thing to be a quitter, in life. And it's okay to want to, face your obstacles, face your challenges, and face these things with a steel, heart against these obstacles and against these challenges, right? You just want to take them on. You don't have to bow down to life. You can make life bow down to you, and that's just the truth of the matter. And we're not just speaking on that like pure will, aggression. It's like, no, man, like it's just the fact of the matter. These things can be something very minuscule all the way, but because it's the minuscule stuff that if you let that stuff go, you're gonna let the big stuff go. So you have to not just take care of the little things, but you gotta take care of the big things. Can't just take care of the big things, because if you're taking care of the big things and letting little things go, you're gonna find yourself at a crossroads, and you won't have steps to fall back on, because there's just these big gaps in what you've been doing. You got to take the little steps throughout the process. If you need funding, guess what? You got to take the steps to get there. But if you just want to go try to scam the government or something, yeah, you could probably do it, but we'll see where that gets you in life. Might look good for a minute, might look good for 2 minutes, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to come back to the actual facts that you have nothing to lean on. You have nothing to really rely on. You have nothing that is gonna garner you any help or respect. But I just want to say in like my closing remarks, though, I thank everybody. I thank everybody who's been tuning into us. I thank you for subscribing. I think before I started this, we're at like 135. So we're growing, and you guys are seeing it. And you guys are some of you are keeping up with it. We just continue to pray for more growth and more amazing things. Yeah, man, just more and more, because at the end of the day, right now, we're doing the main thing we talked about. We're taking that action.
We're getting it done.
Getting it done, as you can see on the sign right there. But it's just another beautiful day in the process. Like you said, man, obstacles come up every single day. Even even that's what I meant by like you face kind of all three stages on a minuscule level, but you also have it on a large scale level. You know? Man, at the end of the day, man, you just keep taking it. You just keep taking it and you keep trucking. And but we're probably gonna wrap up. You got any closing remarks, Manny?
Man, no, man. I think you did a great job touching. Like I said, the links are in the description. So you can go to the links and get the book straight from Amazon. And yeah, ultimately, man, I just want to say, like you said, thanks to everybody that's subscribing, tuning in, that's bettering their life. Because ultimately, we're talking about getting your mind right, which leads to you getting your life right. And I mean, I already know, obviously, because we have had several conversations this week of people we want coming on. Don't want to touch about that now, but it's like there's a lot more in the store for the rest of this year. And it's just
we're about to start interviews. We're about to start doing interviews. We're gonna
no. It's to see, we get things done. We're not gonna start trying to get interviews or start looking at.
Did I say trying?
We got interviews booked.
Yeah, we do.
Times booked.
And so we look forward to them. We're gonna start bringing more outside the box topics, not just talking books, and bringing on people that are killing it in their lane, people that are working it in their lane. And obviously it's not like the biggest well-known this or that person, but there's individuals out here living everyday life like me and Manny, like you watching this, and they're just killing it in their lane. And that's what we should all be doing, attempting to do, is to kill it in our lane. Regardless of what that lane is, no matter what, if we're gonna keep showing up to do this podcast, we're gonna have to get sharper and sharper. And that's an objective of ours. We had discussions about that, and I feel like we've grown so much just in our discussions when talking about that kind of stuff, about talking about what we're going to do, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to build out with this, where we see this in 5 years and 5 months and 5 days. No matter what the case is, you want to be bringing the 3 levels that we learned in this book today. But I'll end it in some prayer.
Let's get it.
And everybody just have another wonderful day. I love you all. I just want to say, Lord, I thank you for another day. I thank you for bringing me and Manny here again, the Buffy Bros. And, we're just out here trying to be the best we can be. I pray over everybody that watches this today. I pray over anyone that gets to this very part right here, gets to see the ending of this, and gets to accept the prayers that we always give out at the end. I thank you that everybody that is watching and on top of us are being protected and guided by your hands. I thank you that everybody that's watching, including us, that we are always moving in our purpose. And I thank you that you've given us another day. I pray that all this comes under grace and perfect ways in Jesus' name. Amen.
And amen.